Show me one country that has developed without their culture.
For you to be saying this conversation,
history has proven over and over and over and over again that at any point in time, most of humanity have been stupid. Nobody's going to get
You're not thinking like a human being.
Because we are not eating what humans should eat. So many people have stopped eating now. They're just eating food-like substances. You have to eat what your ancestors ate. You have to use medications your ancestors use. Those are the things your DNA can interpret. You are organic. The governments need docile people to rule. If all blacks you are unite around our blackness, and wherever you find yourself, you see any black person and you know that's my brother, I'm supposed to feel safe because I've seen another black person. And if this starts today, tomorrow Africans will be ruling the world because when we unite, we are the majority.
that's the issue, right?
So guys, here we go again. We're having another conversation with when we say somebody is an Odikro, it means the person is literally the head of the community or the owner. It sounds like the owner or the one that all the community falls under. He's the one that is leading in negotiations, in conversations, in conversations with other towns and other communities. So that is why, that's how we are connected like that. Listen, we have connections. So we are here with Odikro. I'm about to ask his name, whatever. Mensan Hotro. I'm from Mensan. Because me Mensan. Oh, okay. So we are namesake. His Mensan and he's an Odikro. We had a short conversation on the background, and we'll go into it. But I'm gonna again not scripted. It just comes as it is. Inti, now can I say, "Oh, Papa, by 1941." 41. Ntoba no onunkwa ikro ha nyina. Ntonu nko fa
no. Na I have for near trip Okrefo. Okre. Yeah. Nti na me papa ni igbefo a odi kamba. Sata na oba na kwan we ni try. So almost na kura bi aso. Nti every hanwa ya start here say twa. Kwa na tumu eno hene na Odikro no no so bia mfine kura. No betna.
Oh, okay.
Nti oba no ene ha no betna airport ba no mo tie kura bi asewa.
Oh, nti kura na
that's one ye nsuo ya no mo okuma na ha na nsuo no.
Oh, okay. And some betna nsuo no.
That was 1941.
1941.
Nti omo tena wa ABC town almost at here some be twa kwan wo. Ansana. Ohene na Odikro na e fe ne komna kono. And o mo bia 2 feet crowd.
Betna kwan.
Wow, betna 52, 53.
Until this Oba no almost 10 years later.
Yeah.
No more betna. So I'm asking because we had a little background conversation. So the father is actually the one who settled this village. So he said that they moved here around 1941. That's when they moved from their hometown to this village. When they came, they were not actually at this settlement. They were a bit inside. There's a stream that is a bit inside, and this stream is the source of water for all the people in this community. So when they came, that is basically where they were staying, and they drank from it, and it makes sense. I mean, you want to stay close to the source of water, right? But the main road here wasn't constructed, so the stretch here was constructed around 1952.
Yeah.
So around 1952, that's when the chief of Edukrom, which is Komnakunu, which he decided that, you know what, now that we have a main stretch, a main road here, everybody in the neighboring, in the little settlement should all move and come and set up a village here by the main stretch, which made sense because now they have access roads and you are in town, so nobody will go into the little settlements to do anything and all of that. So I think that is how they moved here into urban or in confined by.
And the Obaye, no, from that 1953 to before me cry about women, I before I was sound movie book or no more does. And the ocean has a sea. People see what I was a sea. Away population with your dolphin sing.
Oh, but Crafono, that's what I say.
Oh, Cassana, sister, and account as a sea. Oh, no, we are great.
Oh,
by every baby, would jam if fear her. Any quantity high in Nano. Young population is also sing Kuma for Nankasa.
But I would also power because baby could be a more
and the Indian woman. Yeah, Cassa and Brian voter Monko into me.
Could be beer, man.
I'm telling you today. Your Cassa ain't free, ain't free. Say, yeah, Central, Western, Ashanti, BAO, Norfolk, Eastern, he found Betty.
Me come come crown me be. Ni fie omuna ajoafa. You son
I don't know. Say musician we watching in Kada. No a gospel musician comforter no or film. Yeah,
oh really? Really?
Comforter no. No, it time. Walk up Bujasi Road. We do a comforter no, I said, baby. And the woman a to fear. I'm telling you today.
Oh, wow. Listen, guys, so I'm asking, so how many people did our father, that's his father, come to this settlement with? How many were they? And he said that after they moved from the little settlement by the stream and came by the roadside, he brought a lot of what we call nominais. You know, in Ghana, when we say nominai, we mean those from the Volta region. So he moved a lot of the Voltarians here, and they they actually outnumbered the other Okre tribe that was here. And so I'm just asking that is insane. That's amazing. So he brought up a statement that there's a legend in the Ghana gospel industry, a legend called Comfortano. Do I know that this is actually the house that Comfortano was bet in? And I was like, wait a minute, you mean this very house? She said yes, because she's a legend, right? So I'm like, oh wow. And he said yes, this is the house she was bet in, and her navel was buried here in this very house. Hey, nature said, when you're small. Easy. Wow. It's a moment. I don't know if you see near now.
Yeah, ne papa. And I did have a mamma, papa. Oh, the more time ne papa no be woman. Ne papa and a friend of come here. Now, where she died, one with your men are meeting with. And then with the men are meeting. But now, comfort and not a friend of come here. No, that was 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
And you want to chance away. Chance away about a down with a comforter, no papa dear. From 1941 that way.
In chance, you agree with that?
Anyway,
1941.
Yeah. You go, Hano. And yes, one, no, she one the Indian and see, and I mean, by near Goosunu, that I know. Any near Goo in a sonnet, a piano, bought chance in war. Hey,
it is covered 70 years. Wow. I cost 70 years.
And the nurse now, Abano crowd, the bottom, we ma. Difficult say.
When I just a quality power. Now I say, Omuya is out.
Munya.
Wow.
We a good standard we to cry. We school and sana toy and so she send we school 1989 and sana to and so she send but we no now but time we so and sana me papa e be do fear
guys, so I'm hearing that there's a particular roofing sheet on one of the buildings that is actually over 71 years old.
Yeah.
It's a roofing sheet, but it's over 71 years old. So I'm like, wow, they made a lot of quality stuff those days. Now you wouldn't have that. I mean, you put roofing sheets over your building, and within the next 10 years you are changing it. So the fact that it's been here for that long means that it's interesting. Inti minimum me kasa
we ni na ka ho so when saru finish we ni na ka ho but that we dey me na me see here.
Oh, okay.
Dan bu wa ha no
na we see we
na me see ansa na me ko ni we nso no me ana me dan bu no na ha ne dey na ye single room inti me di dua choke na me papa bu ami ene see e dua foforo and a jab to Suboko. And it's an about winning there. You boo hano. As I banner, you can't see that now, may papa bet to Kuman. As I tell I mean, you say, ever woman. Your woman 1972, 23rd November 1972. And I'm a starting school 1979.
Okay, 75 years, 72, 7 years later, I was starting school. So we're still talking. He's still giving me a bit of history about the roofing sheets and how quality they are, and some of the buildings that he put up himself and all of that. So he was bet in 1972, and as a matter of fact, he started schooling around 1979. So it means 7 years later, after his birth, he started schooling into Uko school. I say,
we call 10 elementary no be 10 years.
Elementary school for 10 years.
Yeah, we started 79 and we 89.
Okay, into we 89 and Oko.
Na me kwa Nima.
We 89 and Oko Nima. It's Nima Oko here.
We go see and driving.
We go see and driving with Nima.
Yeah, na me uncle yeah, police ni motor rider. No ne Rollins over Robert ne friend Johannes Ahanobe.
Oh, okay. Into Rollins this riders need
no and my say maybe if you are driving now on for me won't push me into bed.
Oh, no person push you into. Yeah. Listen, we're making a lot of history here. This might be a small village, but we've gotten two historic events right now. The great legend Confano is coming from Comfortano. Yeah. It's coming from this village. Yeah. And the head of the dispatch riders for our ex-president, may he so rest in peace, Jerry John Rollins, was his uncle. So
Johannes Ahanobe.
Johannes Ahanobe, that's his name. Johannes Ahanobe. That's his name. Don't laugh at me, guys. I'm butchering his name. Let me say it one more time. Johannes Ahanobe. Wow. So
Ahanobe.
So what's the meaning? A day for drinking, a day for celebration, yeah. Something like that. So it means he's not far from history. And he went to Nima after 1982, yeah. And after 82 he studied
1992.
He finished school
1989.
89.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I went to Nima 1992.
Oh, okay, he finished school in 1989, went to Nima in 1992.
Yeah.
So at Nima, because of the uncle who was the head of the dispatch riders for our ex-president, wanted to push him somewhere, so he said he should learn driving. Into Usi and driving now they're going.
Me see driving or yes or pepper this yaman pe antenna different.
Oh.
Nti mampa me ti anhyem.
Oh.
But already know now me age no ye over. Time na ye friend me ne say me mbra na ye say me age no over. Nti me di matri ba.
Na koy.
Nti matri ba na ye chief inspector say
Hey.
Me one father one mother. Ye nipa miensa na aka na me ma me ka cho me triba direct no we chief inspector on fakos of fankos is
of fanko. Wow, nzie me do of
fanko or peacekeeping ala odun fankos is here dey bisa one a friend Gideon Kono. Yeah.
Listen, please at of fanko, you better listen. No. So we still talking, we're still vibing, and he said 89 he went into the driving. So what happened was that he finished, but just before he could get a chance to go into the police force was when the uncle died.
Yeah.
And when they finally actually called him, they realized that he passed the age mark, so he couldn't go in anymore. So what he did was that he took his younger brother in, and this is beautiful in the sense that he didn't say because he didn't get opportunity he's going to not allow anybody to take the chance. He didn't get opportunity because he was older than the age mark, but he took his younger brother in. And the younger brother, guess what? Is now the chief inspector at Ofanko Police District.
Yeah.
I'm like, police cannot stop me at Ofanko now. You guys, they cannot stop me at Ofanko. Because he's the chief inspector. And that is amazing. That's a beautiful story in the sense of sacrificing one's self to allow the next person climb up to the next place, which I've been teaching you guys for some time now. The fact that every single one of us is here to serve, every single one of us is here to elevate the next person. We are not here for ourselves. So all this process that he was going through, he was actually there for the brother, not even for himself. And when the time came for him to actually turn the opportunity to the brother, he did. To me, that's amazing. Wow, we are there, pal.
Nuntina me akasa me de me no share harim. Nuntina me de me ye duma or speedway adabraka. Won hum yo obo holiday inn. And I said Royal Beach Hotel. Labadi. But one whom you want to check him at 2 points.
So when he did that, he took himself.
Na me papa be yari 2012. Na me no copy speaking. Yeah, last born also no. Ono tena mami bi nchen. Mami no so de ne ko Japan. No ye oba. Ye ni pa miensa na kan. Ye last born ye oba. Into being so de ne ko Japan.
So Japan is here.
Oh, visit Waba. Oh, Babe would be let's take it about 5 years. Now about one could be into all Labria campuses here, Bujumbura.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Timmy, yes, and I am Papaya. And I meet Jamaduma. I'm a very me papa and son will be free.
Well, I just want to sacrifice the power.
You are the free man as I came me see me papa. Okona, or Chenane Afro. Oko Chenetia, near Afro. And I'm here, I know.
And then India,
sending better as a
movie, a better than What happened was that he sacrificed his life to ensure that the brother goes into the police force and has risen to the rank of a chief inspector. Now, the younger sister was also taken to Japan by the person that she was staying with, and he himself went into a hiring company. So he mentioned the hiring company. Speedway at Adabraka. So he was working with Speedway at Adabraka for a while. Then when so Speedway was renting cars for Holiday Inn, was renting cars for Labadi Beach Resort or Royal Beach, and so you would either find him at Adabraka or Holiday Inn or Labadi, and if he's not at any of these three places, then it means he's gone out of town. His father got sick in 2012, and in 2012, what happened? One of them had to come home. The brother went for peacekeeping, so he wasn't around. The sister was in Japan, so he was the only one left to come back home to come and take care of the father. So he sacrificed his life again to come back and take care of the father. When he came for about a year, the father died. 2013. So for about a year, the father died. After a year, the father died, and he was installed to replace the father. So what happened was that he would go back to Accra, and they would call him to come back to come and settle a case in the village. He would go back, they would call him to come back. So he decided, you know what? Why would I keep bothering myself going in and out? Why don't I just move to the village and come and settle here? Hence, why we find him where he is now. Why he's where he is now and a farmer. You could tell that his whole life has been sacrificial. He's just giving up his life for the rest of the family. Are they a woman there Sunday? Yauda. Oh, Thursday. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And that's a lot of sacrifice. But he's a farmer now. Inti Mommy Olusu in Ba 5. Muko Rishemu. Let me be some mommy. Muko Rishemu.
Well, my musa na on or can be you. But no me to me cap. Because now me papa no your room my nipa. But one would dinner me my boy. Yes, October. Or ya prana ba. A prana tender. Aha. You see, mommy Casanuna or car say, Uncolani be film. Me minimal contia because me so me chinkaka into minim. And after that, no. Most of my sister Penny, I remember me back Penny in a bunny near Georgina. Georgina. I am a day.
A Georgina.
I am a day.
That's the meaning. I like it.
Indeed, I want and I'm sister the frame. Yantia say 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah. 2. Now my papa na twin and say obey Christian.
No papa na twin and say obey Christian.
Yeah. So no per se or they no be shesa sutoba na ya prana sam. Ancha na me chiba direct na kasan. Ono na ka 3 days ono so be kwa control me fana exam.
Oh.
And ono so free.
Oh. Wow.
No munyina no na nipa 5 no mu free me na no me kan chose see say obi yare at the how be 3 days or 4 days.
Wow.
Nti hono na me papa kan say emi to mo so mo kwa adibisi na mo kan bibisa no so da me bi de kesa. Bia nsuka. Nti ono echi na nsa na me papa no be yare ya ye fine na ye we baby ya ye mi hwem adwuma na se mi ye ma adwuma ansa na me triba na otoso minu na me so ye better one of an course ya ansa na ye last born week ti ono echi ansa na me papa o di be free me papa di free mu na me ma me start ye no hu sometime bi
sometimes
just say o dream nepa yen papa no o dream no because no can da say on fa be mother me papa na say
so papa na say no
oka me papa nkasa kwa ka che me papa nkasa ka che no ni mo be my be apart from my father. Right now, o di kankan na me papa awoye. Na na yere ni film. Ansa na o di bi hu. Me mami. Me papa no ye blasphemy. Blasphemy. Yeah. O swe duma o duma side. Bibi ye tu no alabani.
Oh, I've an no me true.
Yeah.
But you have information come. So,
who underground I call her no be say ye to underground.
Alvan Ewa.
What side do?
Oh, okay. You go. So, okay, where should I start from?
Intimi papa be boy juma.
So I'm asking that, did they not investigate when they lost 5 of their siblings? Because losing 5 siblings is not a joke, and actually losing your father on top of it. So he asked me if I know the meaning of the mother's name. The mother, is our elderly mother that we interviewed, and asked me if I know the meaning of the name. I was like, Shitova. Yeah. I was like, I don't really know the meaning. Then he told me the Shitova means a descendant of the tender.
Yeah.
So it means a child of the tender. Yeah. The minute he said that, it clicked. It made sense, because whilst the mother was telling me he was losing the children, I knew what was it, right? But again, you're the one granted the interview. You cannot speak much. But once he said that Shitova, and meaning the descendant of the tender, it simply means that the mother was a gift from the tender. The mother was supposed to do certain things, but she didn't really do those things necessarily. So anyway, I can't go into details, right? So let me just fast forward. So what happened was that when the first one died, she wasn't sick, she didn't fall sick, nothing. Within 3 days, she fell ill. Within 3 days, she died. She wasn't sick for that. There was nothing wrong with her till she fell sick. 3 days, she died. It didn't make sense to the family. Then the rest also followed. None of them got sick for more than 4 days. So that's when the family was like, you know what, we have to investigate this. So let's try and find out. But all this while, the father was trying to pull the mother away from following suit after Shitova, the tender god. So the father was trying to drag her into the church. And around 2013, they also lost the father. And it really got to the mother, because he said the father spots the mother. That's not me. That's his words. He said the father spots the mother, because the mother never knew any man. So when that happened, the mother became very disturbed and very confused. And it took a toll on her, being the first love and all of that. So it almost seemed like she was going off. But now we can see that she's okay. But putting the dots together, you kind of know what is going on here. Because once you're a descendant of water, of the earth, of the tender, of all these gods, you cannot just go scot-free. Especially if your mothers, of your parents went in to go and covenant themselves with these entities or these powers. You cannot just go scot-free. So that is a bit about the family side. And I can tell from his face that there's a lot of spiritual connectivity there, in the sense that when you look at his face, you can see marks on his face. I don't know if you can zoom into his face. You can see marks on his face. When we're having a background conversation, he said that this was done to him when he was a young child.
Yeah.
Then when he got to 10 years, he decided, you know what, I don't want to go the way of the spirit anymore. I want to be in the church. So he got baptized into the church. Methodist church after 10 years. Remember church side, no? And
men collaborate, yes, here a woman na and never be treated to say my mother and say yes, a bottom say Panaman. And I said, Bisa and a Maya may are and near the Mekoma Papa be Pacha Kawan. Yes, in a bosom ya planan. Say I'm funny, young family, a man.
Because of Pewasem.
Yeah. And I'm a saying,
what was he on?
Was saying, and my me area, Cacrania, the Mekoma, Papa being a friend of Koshi Soropo.
Marco.
So for safari, Marco, now, walk on outside branch of mango, you have been with Marco, Papa and I think.
Or not it, yeah. Marco, God also dream, also feel so. Papa, Marco, Marco. Yeah.
Now come out, me call a brim corner no honor me by ne yere. I get me bintin and me free. Oh, none a man more dorsum.
Okay. Oh, 38. Oh, number 38.
By now me class 4. Yeah, the letter Brenner and then phone some bay. Yeah, the letter Brenner say and kind or the man or mudi menina will be to me.
One to
me kaya. No, I sound man and secretary no war. Are you mention? No, sound man. Near call friend a secretary number. No, I mean, at home. Na the secretary na sambe kan letter no say akwala we dey so be kunu enji mi ko school a ne mano be 10 no no ma o metiska bi na ye 20 something na me nkwa na odi ama me nti ma na yere bu fu mi nti na yere no one me nka so na me ma me no uskapa
no my uskapa
can it today who area ha ko si do me anse asenema my 14 who pesca na me ma me no to brobu storm o kwa baby o pa kaka no baby o pa kaka no o bo baby a police full can see no o say I see block down kitu abi o na me ma me store no yeah wo di esika do bia o pa bia se wo aguro no ma me we de be ma
So there are a lot of deep revelations that, like the minute I heard the mother's story, I knew what was going on. But like I said, you cannot do that. You have to keep quiet most of the time. So the whole time I was watching him because I also knew what was going on and what is around him. So he's telling me that you saw the marks on his face. I was asking, why did they do that to him? And he's saying they did that because the mother is a tender baby and the mother came from the tender realm or the tender God. And he's a Thursday born. You see, everything is making sense. He's a Thursday born as well. The Thursday is the tender God. So the tender God is a Thursday God. And he's also a Thursday born. You understand what I'm saying? You get a connection here. So because of that, he started getting sick. And usually that's what happens if the God decides to want to use you. So him being a Thursday born, there's a reason why he came into this dimension on a Thursday. It's because the Thursday God, which is the tender God, which the Christians call Yahweh, Yah or Yahweh. They say the same God. So the God wanted to use him. So the God said the mother should give him as a gift. And I'm trying to explain to you why the 5 children were lost. But if he doesn't mind, I can explain it. So the reason why he was getting sick, because the God wanted to draw the family's attention to him. Once he went to the priest, which the priest I interviewed that had 38 children. Once they went to the priest decided, okay, the only how you're going to stop getting sick is to mark him. And when the minute they marked him, he stopped getting sick. So the priest was actually training him to come into the fold of being a priest to the tender God, which is Yahweh or Yah, the same Thursday God in the church, the God of Israel. So, but the father said he would never allow that to happen. So when he was 10 years old, he also decided he's not going to follow this path. Now watch this. Because the father did not allow him to be given to the Thursday God, that is why the Thursday God was coming after the siblings, expecting them to actually go and investigate so that somebody would tell them this is the reason why they are losing the children. But because they didn't go, it kept happening. That is why he said none of them was sick for a long time. 2-3 days they are dead. 2-3 days they are dead. It was the God actually drawing their attention to something. Now, because that did not happen, they had to take the father as well. Listen, don't play with the covenants, especially if your mother's mother go into a covenant with any God. Don't play with it. They would come for you. You have to pay whatever it is that you went into covenant with. So he's telling me the mother had a lot of money, like the whole area. There are about 3-4 villages around. Everybody came to the mother for money. She has a shop for maize, and it doesn't matter how many corn you have on your farm. She can come and buy everything. That's how worthy, that's how rich she was. Now all of a sudden, everything has changed. Do you get why? Because of the covenant between herself and the tender God. You understand? And he's telling me he was a very bright student. Now, it means that he could have gone very far in life. Very far in life. The minute you don't honor the covenant between the God, they take all these things away. You can go to church, you can pray, you can fast, you can do all of that. Nothing will change unless you come back and honor the gods. And that is just the way it is. It's because once you are gotten from that realm, there's no way, because you belong to that realm. And if you don't fulfill what you're supposed to do, you die and go back and come back again to start all over again. Anyway, I'm just taking over. That's not my business for today. We just having a conversation. In Mitisun Sumasin no makakra. Inti wo kan na may try to me find connection, how everything connects together. But it's here work sorry. Ungunsa onye bibia.
Chemu Nintia make me a catch this moment now say Quesieda Sheda and Quasso just say be ye be sorry and Sana Mercone say a man for Bamio ye be a Samuel Minkenwa say I same be as I say be Gunsa. Na me catch you says I do unim now sanko ya say ni si emna ti mama sorry
okay the need to say I won't share uncle sorry but she say ugunsa okay so he says he doesn't go to church anymore because he's not the chief of the community. So whenever there's a case, especially they settle most cases on Sundays, because Sundays everybody don't go to farm and all of that. So when it comes like that, sometimes he has to pour libation, sometimes he has to call on the gods, and sometimes he has to put you to caution that whatever it is that you did, make sure you don't do it again. And they pour libation. So this is why he pours libation and he doesn't go to church anymore. Not because he doesn't want to go to church, but if he asks me, I would say, in fact, keep pouring the libation, set up your altar, start having a connection to the Thursday God, because that is who you are. Anyway, the Mimi Gunsa, because my suffered that. Me suffered for 15 years. But addition, I'm a man who says, you will see a time was already. Because they are going to bring the buy in and trunk one. Into me catch us say, oh, mammy, oh, 2 minutes. No, you one member. Go on, that's who's got.
Oh, brother. Baby, I'm away. You find a chingedi. Muntina make a chone. So be said, the gun away, flat or gun away, see. Me soon a woman tea and Tinaswa, me young menko. Because I am an expert. I will use me uncle. We are my friend. I have no women in you. Oh no, oh no, meaning ye kunu.
Then a kunu.
Obana dadano.
Obana dada.
Because my man Casana meaning. Say, so no bakushia. No one yari. A canna, a beco.
Who did you can a beco? Oh,
what is a kind? A one.
Oh, that's some powerful stuff, guys. That's some powerful stuff.
My girlfriend and Dadano, Sana, a idea, a planning team. To call Banana, Upina, and a fire.
Oh, Samson Delilah. Yeah, but can you cast us in Hasawakana?
And now I'm here, Grammy Cacho.
Wow.
Say, made me hook over. Never enjoy now the baby coming. Maybe an any do by me catch or tell me fear me too as a sienna many or band and I do and I did and now fight to over.
Wow.
Wow. I'm telling you.
So I was just telling, I was telling him that I actually know why all the mishappenings have been happening to them. In the sense that I know when you come from a God, like I've been through it. I went through the same process because I'm coming from the God of the air element. So he's coming from the God of the tender element, the Thursday God. So when you're coming from, there's no way you can disconnect yourself. The church will lie to you, tell you disconnect yourself, come to church, come and pray, come and do this. It's all lies. They just lead you astray. So I was telling him that I know 100% if the mother had kept honoring the Thursday God, she would never have lost the money. And he's telling me that he would never argue with that. He would never argue with that because what he knows is that if he has a bottle like this and there's water in it and you tell him, please don't sit on this bottle, that's where my spirit is, he would never doubt it and he would never challenge it because he understands spirituality. He understands what must be done. So his uncle that died, I told you his uncle was the dispatch rider for the ex-president, right? The former president, John Rawlings. The reason why they got to the uncle is because it was planned, it was staged. Some way, somehow, they knew the weakness of the uncle. So what they did was that they used a lady to lure the uncle into having sexual encounter. Once they had the sex, what happened was that he became vulnerable to guns, to knives, to any weapon they will use against him. If the uncle had never slept with a woman, even if the uncle has washed himself or cleansed himself after sleeping with a woman, then that opening would never happen. So they got to the uncle because the uncle had just slept with a woman and came out. Then they shot him the minute he came out. And that was it. He couldn't talk again. Every single person on the face of the earth has a weakness. If you don't know, you know. You don't know. But you have to find out there are certain things you don't have to eat. There are certain things you don't have to touch. There are certain people you don't even have to talk to. Sometimes, that's why I've taught you guys that when you have sex, make sure you take your bath. Even the Muslims do it. The Muslims do it. When the Muslims have sex, the first thing they do is they wash down to cleanse themselves. You have to learn this. You have to do this thing. And he's saying that even with him, it is not, he hasn't gone anywhere to go and take any spiritual protection. But even with him, as he sits here right now, there's no way you use a gun on him and it will work. Whether a gun, a knife, it doesn't matter what it is. It won't work. The reason why it won't work because he hasn't touched a woman. And because he knows this, when he touches a woman, he immediately goes to cleanse himself. And this woman, it doesn't matter whether it's even your wife, my boy. It doesn't matter whether it's your wife. You must bath.
Yeah, you must bath.
So the minute you have sex, everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, the minute you have sex, you have to cleanse yourself. That's how we protect ourselves. And that's how people die anyhow, because they have sex, they go about business. And sometimes it's not just about guns, sometimes even business. You can lose your business because you just came from sex and went to touch your business. You can lose your contract. You can lose so many. You can fail your exams because you just came out of sex and went to write the exams. You understand? So that is where we are. This is profound. To us, mommy, to us, mommy.
Oko foba. Na wen jare. Na oko chose ama me so be feel. Opa try.
Na me try. Me try.
It's the Bible na nkasa kraka.
Yeah.
So do on ka
Leviticus. Leviticus.
Enti media sanya mano. Minim sa bosumo.
Unim sa bosumo.
Minim pa. Minim pa.
So mo to me.
Sa papa no aye kwashi soro pona okono hosia no. Le bosumo ni na no. Otu wa otu kwan akoba bi aba. Se ne bosumo ne se mimi ntumi handle omode a. Ende on beko. who bet me as and what you know what alcohol. And I hope my friend on my phone.
Wow. What to me handle the boss now?
Or see me handle and I'm mean to me.
No, so to me. Later, no, so bet to me. That is one handle.
One idea back on there and free Wakuma. Me, you know, but
when himself to me or hope I
minimum. About winning now, why? Let me at her by any income person, a dear do best friend of me. You will do all the sea, made them my cook. Now, near wash your own to me.
When you wash here
on counter.
I don't know him, marking beer. Because me cross them and I
mark and one pa, and they make me a show, but who has a seer. And yeah, so beg try up to phone so I try away. Oh, no, so here. You could like a I met you here. You could. Miss Anna, my life here, and yeah, draw back your show.
No, let it come. So we'll come and sit down. Hey, you cover it.
Oh, I do it. I do it. On rain. On rain. On rain. Wait, yeah. We know a piano. We are no a dinner. That will wait the end there. What is a when you how? Who are the quite there? Who puts an audio boo any week? On one hour now. You do no more. Wait there. And more do we? So walk out or has a seer. TV fashion one.
What is your understand?
What the fashion on our wicket? Near me and can't be as a walkout, snake account.
And we can't show you.
No.
So what's where?
By baby, our baby son.
Baby,
was a say walk out now. Who are going now take the show and now meaning soon boom. There walk poison no effect to our baby son.
Oh wow. You see, we know first the acting is a little bit awkward. I have been me a show bottle.
We know. First, na be call hunting pa anadoha. Etako pa. Nti we obey to me ayamo bosso. Na watch ma ade agu bottom. Na shemu. They say na onam rans a woko.
You call aggressive.
Nti sebe uko share obi sana e bia obokpa na what is wakawa.
Take a picture, I'll search it. So guys,
this is it.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Say the same thing.
And as I drew we are and the minu pen a minion a metron. So drew we are so what is a witty pile. Maybe a component of a with your push and then fangu a trim. Then fangu, that is all.
That's all. Finished. So guys, whilst we're talking, so he's saying that with him, he knows gods exist. He knows the powers that be. He knows he's not even having a conversation about that. He's not even hearing that they are gods, they are powers. And he knows there are certain things that when you do, you automatically protect yourself. Certain things you don't also protect yourself. That there are even herbs. He has a herb inside. When he catch you and put the herb in it, snakes cannot bite you, and even if snake bites you, nothing will happen to you. So I was like, is he playing with me or he's being serious? He said he's being serious. So I'm like, okay, can he show me some of these herbs? He said yes, he's just here. We can come and he'll show me. So we came, and this is actually the herb. He says that when you have this herb and a snake bites you, just chew this. Just chew this, and it will not affect you. The poison cannot do anything to you. So I was like, okay, if you go into the farm, if you go into the forest, do you have to carry some of these so that the minute the snake bites you, you chew it? It's like, oh, what you can do is that you can do a solution out of it, or you can just blend it and make a juice out of it and put a juice in a bottle. So when you put the juice in a bottle, all that you have to do, if you have a snake bite, just drink some from the bottle. But it should always be in your pocket. Once it's in your pocket, you are good to go. Wherever you are, you're solid. This also deals with tumor in the brain, tumor in the head, tumor in the brain. So if you're having a headache and it's going to be a tumor, all they have to do is that you mash it up, mix it with water, and just put it on the spoon and inhale it. Once it goes through your nostril, that's it, you're good to go. That's powerful stuff. That's powerful stuff. But I would want to plant one of these. Into way, the person me to be called there, open mambi.
We don't have make you we know. Me the winner, a year winner, what they took from a baby film. And warrior. And the seed in me. So
I just have one, sir.
Just a wood dear.
Come back later then.
Yeah, the I won't be a kick with you.
Say a wood dear. And the would go from the tea within 1 week time, we with a knife.
To me, the cook,
I wait the hour. And you want to see the hour. And I will know. We need any DNA kind.
And them will be.
Where they will be. Especially.
A new one.
The wound one young quickly. When you the wound are damn quickly. What for Sunny say? Near the boo any meaning so. And I'm not funny anyway. Rebecca Chen.
But let me name say to me in this. Wow. And because me I ban them room won't go. Wow. Tell me pen crash econo. Tell me obviously baby. That's how we learn. So guys, I'm plugging some. I'm definitely going to plant some. For those who are afraid of the snakes on the farm, we make sure we have this on the farm or our healing center. Then you can be rest assured that you are snakes free.
I bring your first day. Let's me about. And I'm a car be a channel. You will go. I'm a tenor, have a show on this year. No big crowd to our no so a boat to a cousin somewhere.
I did, yeah. Some of them person missing. So he's saying that, literally saying that there are herbs that there are certain herbs that when you go to the forest and you put the herbs in your mouth, it doesn't matter what kind of a gun the person is holding, it won't work, it won't penetrate, it won't do anything to you. And then the conclusion of the matter is that when we talk about powers, when we talk about juju, when we talk about it's all herbs, and the herbs was created by the creator, so it's all nature. So the minute you connect to nature, everything you need is in nature. The herbs, it's nature. It's, listen, we have an anti-snake, we have anti-gun, just by leaves. Bulletproof, using leaves. Which I need your own body in nature. What is your name?
And the more so. I know about somebody more so.
So this one is the ice.
Any ice one, anyway. We. And that's how I.
Oh, okay.
And you will.
Oh, okay. And wait, I'm missing more. That's a
we no crano. Your own room, you know. Or Banini, or Bemanini.
Oh, okay. It's way in there for. So guys,
way an Indian.
So if you can't see, if you have eye problems, this is what you use. Do you snap it? Snap it. So if you have eye problems, you snap this one too. If you have eye problems, this is what you use. and it will clear your eyes. You just mash it up, put it on your eyes, and it will definitely clear your eyes. You don't need to go and see any optician or anything like that. This is powerful for the eyes, and of course this is powerful for the snake. And there's a herb that he doesn't want to tell me. That's for the anti-gun, anti-knife. He doesn't want to tell me, but we still see. Which one?
Send me catch you this year. Me see one who me I say a view way or back. We them.
Oh, okay.
Send
So this is what we're planting. Which one?
This one.
Okay, so cool. So guys, we are back from our little walk around. Wow, listen, nature is amazing. That's why I was so interested of us getting the forest and buying the forest. Nature is just amazing. It's just insane. And we just walked around and we saw some herbs. I don't know if he's going to show us more herbs, but for now he's giving us some herbs and some seeds, which you know I'm going to nest, and you know we'll definitely plant them. But I'm glad he accepts the fact that the powers that be are very much in existence, very real, very powerful. And what I wonder is why he didn't pursue. But he told me that there are certain things that it's not like you don't know they exist, but when your heart is not behind it, doing it is another situation. But if he had his heart behind it, he would definitely do it. But just because he didn't have his heart behind it, that is why he didn't do it. So, you see idea because anything about it, you see idea. See, I know who names are no more. What they chow on banana on person missing.
me in far and in town.
Want to be very in town.
Send me the man.
What their mom.
And then me first day I'm in who how. By me papa na catch me. Say winning bibia. Unipa unimuno. Mani. Bibia or chena. No akwishia. Sa akwanhia no. Na wonya bia no dia protecting no. Nti me edra ye ka se di fashe obotum. Ana obebo bibidin ansa na de na je no. Enya sana papa no so ka che. Na papa ne de minimini nti awa owo busum. And the busum na fan. Say what you holding da free tajewu krabiase baby ARS asori ni fi no ya fra hotajewu ARS church be a friend ARS
I know fi
yeah papa ni fi tajewu and bakuna running school no akakoli ono ntu fi achidiba papa ni fi important ba ono dia bosu na fam.
So I'm asking him that so if he asks Kate and he said yes, I'm like, okay, so are you passing this knowledge to your children, because at least you know it, are you passing to your children? And he said yes, definitely. I mean, he just met me today and he's told me some of the things that he's told me. So obviously he will pass such information to his children, because his father told him that if you know herbs, don't keep it to yourself. If you have herbs, don't keep it to yourself. You have to share it with the person that you know, because you never know what accident or what situation or what encounter that person may face in the near future. So when a person knows such herbs, at least the person can add that to his what do you call it, his intellectuality, so that at least he would have an idea that when this situation happens, this is what I must do, this is what I must do, this is what I must do. It's been a pretty exciting conversation. I want to wrap up, but I'm going to take his final words before I wrap up. Me, this is me, say, Kissy and Sono, dear, but I die. About funny, you see, I say, almost 2. Say, yeah, they're protecting and they're boy and home buying, they're boy in young fan tour. Send almost bit me young quine. I bet you person me. A bina, she say, you did a gun in Ano. I don't know, I'm saying. And so, say, and Nano Mukoso, a small, and yet some bad, a show muscle, a bomb by a bone, so no by me. A mambre all in you could be into me bound by fine.
But I want to say, one with me, with the out, with the mention. One when you are as of a phony was from the dying. Say, oh, poor, who before to tell this, and be enchanted yet to tell you where I made it away. What if I could cobra? Who be Capocono? I have an answer. And son or say, and a bay. Also, we 20 cities this year, or China, a base Kakasiama. We 50 cities this year, or Babon Paramount. My ancestors on Sabacana on Sabaka, or a trophy. Senior American would Jamie. Said you were here as you will craft you, but you are. Would try a sinking way, no one. Despite that, Zangara, I am pa, but we trust into we not keep back too heavy pan now. Unum cap baby and son. But what could you always see? Made you say, and son of the amount. Made you sad the way, and son of the amount. I am not
So I'm asking that this way, you guys know where I stand with spirituality and all of that. And what does he say? What does he think? And he's saying what both the church and our traditional leaders did to deceive us is the lies they added to the truth, in the sense that when we take a leaf, the traditionalists will tell you, oh, I have to add blood to the leaf before the leaf becomes potent. And without adding blood to it, it will not be potent. But what they are not telling you is that the leaf is potent on its own. You don't need any blood to activate anything. It's the same way with the church. You go and they tell you that bring an offering and I'll pray for you. Bring this and I'll multiply this. Even the things that are not supposed to come your way, they tell you bring money and I'll multiply it. And that is what is actually killing the church. If we can honestly disassociate religion and tradition from the herbs, then even this very tree that we are sitting under, if you're suffering from fever, all you got to do is catch the branches, catch the root, and then cook them. They just take about 3 cups and you're good to go. The fever will just go away. And that's a mangala, right? Zangara. Okay. So Zangara. Okay. This what our people used to plant for charcoal and all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was powerful.
Even the leaves can heal fever.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was powerful.
That's what they do.
And I have an also sad.
They make them with lemons.
I didn't know it was powerful.
Very powerful.
And
I know it.
I mean, you say, who puts out pum. You didn't to ma. I cut our swag. Lemon. I have mine. Lemon. Anyway, now they do a Yafaka Kana, yes, now they do. We are Yamano Yapo. Yeah. Oh, they're good. Into when you sweat to open a day, Memman to my Cassano, I cut out so sweet. In 15 never to me now. Necessary. A girl will have my any lemon have my.
So, like I'm saying, he's saying you don't have to go through anybody, just connect to nature. If you are going to somebody, that means somebody who knows, that is teaching you how to apply the herbs. Because sometimes you can even walk by a tree. I've seen this tree actually so many years, I didn't even know how powerful it was. So You can know it, but not know it. You know that the tree is there, but not know its use. So I believe also that every tree has a purpose, every tree has a use. You just don't know it. That's why you think it doesn't, but it does. So once you have connectivity, once you come into awareness, once you are aware of nature, that's all you need. You don't need anything else. And this is what I've been telling you guys all the time. And hence, as we go into the villages, you begin to understand the teachings that I'm teaching you, that all you need to do is to become aware of nature. You don't need to go through any middleman. You don't need to become aware of nature. I haven't gone to any preschool. I haven't gone to any kung fu school. I haven't gone to any kung fu. I haven't understood anybody. All that I did was to become aware of my I am self, and the rest will be history. I want to say a big thank you to my brother and my elder Yao Mensah. I love the Mensah name because I'm also Mensah. So I want to say a big thank you for having us, for teaching us, for impacting knowledge to us. I know I'll come back because remember we need to fix the reservoirs. So we'll definitely come back and come and help fix the reservoirs. Thank you guys for always tuning in. You know I love you guys. Mwah. Have a great night. We'll talk soon. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Wow. Yeah, that's it.